Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio where we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all that good stuff. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
I am here. Hello, everybody.
Robert Meyer Burnett is here.
Going to the Badlands, John.
Oh, tonight I'm so excited about that, man. I'm so excited to go see Predator Badlands tonight. We're going to talk about Predator Badlands here in just a second, but most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day, and here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up. Then the simplest way you can then, after that, send in a question to us is by using our tip link. Our tip link you can find anytime, 24 hours a day at www.streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. And the good news about that tip link is it actually is good 24/7. So if you're listening to this show on our podcast feed, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching the show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys, a little bit of housekeeping here. Got some dates for you.
Ooh.
For the upcoming movie meetups, at least the next two. And here they are.
Do we have it on screen or no?
I have it on screen.
Okay.
Dallas, Texas. I'm going to be there on Tuesday, November the 18th at the Cinemark Dallas XD and IMAX for the movie The Running Man at the 6:55 p.m. screening. You know what? I'm actually going to be in Dallas the night before, too. I'm going to be in Dallas at that same theater on the 17th for that special advanced Amazon screening of Wicked for Good. So I'm going to stick around in Dallas for the extra day. And then on Tuesday, November the 18th at the Cinemark Dallas XD and IMAX, we're going to do the 6:55 screening of Running Man. Then the next night, we will be in Austin, Texas, one of my favorite cities, on Wednesday, November the 19th at the Galaxy Theater Austin for a screening of Now You See Me, Now You Don't. I don't know why I picked that movie, but I did.
Glutton for punishment.
Now You See Me, Now You Don't at the 7:20 screening. Now, look, keep your eyes open. I'm going to be announcing tomorrow the date for the Orlando movie meetup, and I have an apology to make. I had said before that we were going to do an Atlanta stop on this trip, but something's come up. It won't fit into our schedule now. So we're going to have to wait to do Atlanta until next year, like sometime after the winter when we do, probably going to fit Atlanta into the same stretch when we do Nashville and things like that.
Yeah, honestly, I got to be honest, like logistically, I think it makes sense to just do the Eastern Seaboard like that and then into that area.
Yeah, so don't worry, we are coming to Atlanta. We're just going to have to wait a few months before we get to Atlanta. So there's our dates for Dallas and Austin, and then tomorrow we'll announce the specific date and movie theater and film for the Orlando meetup. Looking forward to all of that. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started off with this. Of course, the biggest story going around in the world of movies right now is the pending sale of Warner Brothers. But what are they going to do? Are they going to split the company up into two and sell them off individually? Are they going to split them into two and just keep operating both of them? Are they going to sell it lock, stock, and two smoking barrels to Paramount or somebody else?
To the Germans.
To the Germans. Are we going to? Well, that was Snatch.
Oh, yeah, that was Snatch.
Same director, though.
Yeah.
Same director. You're forgiven. So what's going to happen? We don't exactly know yet. But we do know this. According to a new story that's just breaking this morning out of CNBC, Warner Brothers Discovery has set a Christmas deadline for when they're going to announce what they're going to do. Now, of course, in the recent days, we known for a long time that Paramount was the first one to get these dominoes going. Paramount came out, said, we want to buy Warner Brothers. Well, since then, Apple, Netflix, Comcast, NBC Universal, and one or two other unnamed parties have come out and publicly said, we want to buy Warner Brothers. And they're after them. Recently, we just talked about how Netflix even employed this big bank that oversaw the takeover of Disney taking over 20th Century. Netflix went and got that bank involved to help them put together a deal to maybe get the studio and HBO Max side of Warner Brothers. So who knows what's going to happens. But now we know when we'll know by. We're going to know by Christmas. All right, where I'm sitting right now, I see there being 3 distinct possibilities. Here they are. Possibility number 1. Paramount buys the whole thing. They just straight up buy the whole thing. They're going to pay a lot more than what they're offering right now, but they're going to just buy the whole thing, kit and caboodle, whole company. Option number 2. Warner Brothers Discovery announces they are going to go ahead with their plan to split the company into Discovery Global and Warner Brothers Studios. Of course, HBO Max would fall under Warner Brothers Studios. And then Global or Discovery Global, the TV side with TNT, CNN, all the television assets, that gets sold to NBC Universal. And the Warner Brothers Studio side gets sold to Netflix.
No!
Yeah. The third option that I see happening here is that Warner Brothers splits into 2, sells the television side to NBC Universal, but but the Warner Brothers Studio side just stays its own company. I think those are the 3 most likely. There are a couple of other potential options here, but I think those are the 3. I think if Warner Brothers goes ahead and splits the company, I don't think Paramount's interested. If they don't split the company, I don't think NBC Universal or Netflix is interested. And so I think that's kind of what it's coming down to. Now, look, let me be clear. The best option here is for Warner Brothers not to sell.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best option for everybody. But I don't believe that's realistic. I think it is clear now they are going to sell. So now it's a matter of us as fans hoping for the lesser of 4 evils, I suppose. How is this going to work out? How's this going to spin out? I'm not really sure yet. If I had to put $5 down right now, Rob, and I'm not, but if I were, I think my money right now would be on them splitting the company in 2, Netflix getting the studio side, and NBC Universal getting the television side. And part of the reason why I see that happening is because, let's for argument's sake, I'm just making up a number here. Let's for argument's sake say that Paramount was willing to pay $100 million to get Warner Brothers. Obviously, it's going to be way more than that. I'm just making up a number. Okay. So Warner Brothers can sell itself for $100 million. I think they could sell the television side for $30 million and the studio side for $90 million, equaling $120 million. Like, essentially, I think Warner Brothers knows they and their shareholders could get more money by splitting the company in 2 and selling each asset individually than they can by selling the asset as a whole. But again, this thing has moving pieces every single day. I don't know how this is going to work out. Rob, at least we know this isn't going to drag out till February, March, April. By the time CinemaCon comes around, we're going to have a clear picture of what's going on here. What do you think about this announcement to set the deadline? Do you think they've already made up their mind? How do you think this is going to shake out? What's your take?
Well, I think putting a ticking clock on any kind of a deal is always beneficial because it makes people step up their game.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they've done that. Look, I look at it as, if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, I ask myself, what you're asking of Netflix, what we hope as fans, is that they suddenly are going to change their entire business model. They're going to get into the theatrical business because that's what Warner Brothers does. They distribute their movies theatrically. I don't think so.
Right, but let me play devil's advocate just for a second before you continue on that. If they bought Warner Brothers, again, I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm playing devil's advocate here. If they bought Warner Brothers, that gives them an excuse, because that means they could say, oh, we've always said Netflix will always be a streaming first company, but we have this other division and they do a different thing. Yeah, they put out movies in theaters, but we don't. I'm just saying it could present them an opportunity to save face.
It could, but the thing is, I ultimately think that in the future, the theatrical business is doomed. I really do. Whether it's 10 years, 20 years, eventually the theatrical business is going to go away. It's just going to go away. I think. So what Netflix is looking at, first and foremost, as far as Netflix is concerned, is the juicy back catalog of everything that Warner Brothers owns, including things like Harry Potter, including DC, including, name it, Casablanca. You know, what Netflix would then have, and what has made Netflix the most successful streaming service by a wide margin, is the sheer volume of things that they have on their service. And if they were to buy all of these things and own them outright. Now, I'm not saying that they would suddenly get rid of theatrical. No, it would be a gradual. They'd probably keep it around to fuel. They'd probably keep Warner Brothers relatively intact and let business play out. But what they would have for the rest of eternity is Warner Brothers library, which is incredibly valuable to something like Netflix because suddenly they get to exponentially grow what has already made them successful, which is a gigantic, deep catalog of material. That's why they dwarf every other streaming service. That alone would make Warner Brothers worth buying. Now, would I like that? No, because I like going to the movies. But that's a vestige of I'm a kid from the 20th century. And if you're looking toward the future, I think it makes a lot of sense that Netflix buys Warner Brothers and keeps it relatively intact because they have the library. And why not let Warner Brothers keep making money and fueling it, because their movies would just up the value of Netflix as a streaming service, and they'd get the entire HBO catalog.
Yeah. And look, and it's because of that specifically that I think there might be some hope if Netflix gets it, because again, Netflix knows very well that 2024, the top 15 streaming movies in the world, with the exception of one, 14 out of the 15 were theatrically released movies first.
Yeah.
Netflix knows that movies that go to theaters get bigger numbers streaming than movies that go straight to streaming. They know this. So they take over Warner Brothers. They get that catalog, that deep, rich, insane, historic catalog.
100 years of catalog.
But then they also have this movie engine in Warner Brothers to keep making movies, keep putting them in theaters. But guess where all those movies are going to end up then? Right back in Netflix.
Yeah.
And that could be very, again, we're speculating here. We're purely speculating. But that could be very attractive for Netflix. And because just the catalog itself isn't going to be worth the amount of money that I think Warner Brothers is looking to sell for.
Yes, that's true.
An existing catalog plus 20 more years of new content that will hit theaters, then come into Netflix, that could make it very lucrative for Netflix.
But I would say this. Remember when Netflix paid in 2019 $100 million to broadcast Friends for 1 year?
Yep.
Think about the fact, if you look at Warner Brothers' back TV catalog, they could be dropping banger shows like Friends. I mean, they could do it every quarter.
Sopranos on Netflix.
Just HBO's output over the last, I mean, think about it. Everything from Game of Thrones, they're going to get the new Harry Potter show. If you look at the analytics on what these shows are worth moving forward, like you think about the fact that Friends was a 25-year-old show, they're thinking long term. The entire Netflix catalog, they could be dropping things for the next 25 years, mining that catalog before they go through it all. So I can see that it would be worthwhile for them. And by the way, no more licensing fees because they've already paid for it all.
They own it.
They could do whatever they wanted. And the thing is, that said, that's why I don't want Netflix to buy Warner Brothers. I'd much rather have David Ellison and Skydance and Larry Ellison backing him up, because at least he's going to stay. He loves movies. I think Warner Brothers and Paramount would be still, I think he'd leave Warner Brothers relatively intact. He would allow their physical media division to continue. The thing about physical media at Warner Brothers, it's not that they're putting movies out in physical media. It's that they're making new transfers of all their old back catalog.
Yeah, they're archiving and saving.
Yeah, and they're doing what other studios are not doing, which is, I mean, other studios, as they license out their back catalog. I mean, Warner Brothers is doing that too. But Warner Archive is licensed. They're archiving their entire rich cinema history, which also ups their value.
Disney does that too. It's not like Warner Brothers.
But Disney has a lot less.
I still think the best option on the table, which is becoming, they came out and said they're interested, they want it, and I'm sure they're making a pitch, but I don't think it's going to work out. I think the best possible option besides Warner Brothers not selling is Apple. I still really believe, because they seem deadly committed to developing their studio side. They seem deadly committed to theatrical. They've just experienced a bunch of success with F1 and other things like that. They have the money to keep that thing intact and ongoing, but it's looking less and less like it's going to be Apple, but one can hope. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Warner Brothers is now saying that they're setting a Christmas deadline, which means we're less than 2 months away from finally having a definitive answer to what's going to be happening. Listen, guys, it's not an exaggeration to say this decision is going to reshape the entire movie industry landscape for good or for ill. Whatever you think is going to happen here, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, both Rob and I are going to go see Predator Badlands tonight. I'm sure some of you are going to go see it tomorrow. Maybe a lot of you are going to go see it on Friday. I'm excited for this film. I've expressed that 1,000 times. Can't wait to see it. But there's good news and bad news. If you guys remember, yesterday on the show, we went through some of the early reviews for Predator Badlands, and it was like at 86%. Normally, after the first reviews come out, it'll drop by a couple of percentage points. Not Predator Badlands. Take a look at this. It's gone up a number of percentage points. It's now sitting at 90%, which is fantastic. I can't wait to see this thing. The bad news, however, is that remember we talked last week about how the long-range projection opening weekend forecast was a surprising $35 to $45 million, which would be a best for the franchise, but is lower than what we were hoping to hear. Well, the news has gotten worse. Because while they're now saying it could have a $60 million global opening, they're saying it's probably going to be about $25 million opening weekend.
That's unbelievable.
Here's what it says over at Deadline. At a time when the fall box office has hit the skids, because we just talked about how October was the worst in decades, Hollywood turns its weary eyes to a fanged, fleshy-headed alien to hopefully bail it out as 20th Century Studios' Predator Badlands is eyeing, on the low end, a $60 million global box office start. Stateside, advanced ticket sales are around that of Ballerina and The Accountant 2, both $24.5 million US openings. But behind Tron Ares, which had a $33.2 million US opening. Arguably, there's better heat out there right now for Predator Badlands than there was for Tron Ares. U.S. Canadian theaters will number about 3,700 screens, including all IMAX, premium large formats, and premium formats. Again, this comes to us from Deadline. Rob, we were lamenting 35 to 45 million. I mean, we're looking on the bright side. Well, that would be the biggest for a Predator franchise, but now they're saying 25 million opening weekend. And this to me is dumbfounding because number one, the movie looks great. I would understand it if the narrative around this movie has been that it looks bad. I would understand if the narrative been, oh, the first reactions were negative. I would understand the narrative if, now the Rotten Tomatoes scores are come out and they're bad. But trailers have been banger. First reactions were glowing, and now this thing is sitting at 90%. And it's hard for me to believe that it's possible, Rob, that this thing could open lower than Tron Ares. Now, granted, I haven't seen the film yet. I'm seeing it later. But everything we're hearing is that this thing's really damn good. And it looks really damn good. And this is the type of thing that I think a lot more people would be motivated to go out to see. Granted, it is a franchise that had been run into the ground over many, many, many years. But just in the last couple of years, we've seen the revival of that whole universe. From Alien Romulus, from Prey to Killer of Killers. You know, it's just looks a lot better. And man, I gotta believe it's going to open to more than 25 million. And the reviews keep going up. Anyway, Rob, you're seeing this report coming out of Deadline. Do you think they're right? Do you think it's going to be like 25 million? Do you think it'll exceed it? And if it is 25 million, considering great reviews, great marketing, what do you attribute it to if it does only open to 25 million?
Oh, this is a tough one. First of all, I think that the revival of the Predator franchise, and I'm going to talk about this tonight on my own show, is a perfect example of how an IP, a legacy IP, should be managed. You have a studio president in Steve Asbell who sees a talent like Dan Trachtenberg and allows him, first of all, They went through some hoops to get Prey made. Killer of Killers gets made. An animated film. That was a leap. And now Predator Badlands. This is one auteurist director taking over and allowed to run with an IP. I mean, imagine if Star Wars had a visionary like a Dan Trachtenberg, a writer-director behind something like this. And Trachtenberg directed the pilot for The Boys. You know, he's a force in genre material right now. So they've got the studios doing exactly Alien Romulus, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The Hellraiser revival on Hulu, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. They're killing it. They've done everything right from this side. The question is, with this kind of movie, will audiences show up? And I have a theory. Here's my theory. I think what this is going to capture, maybe, and I have no indication about this, but this movie, in terms of reimagining what the Predator franchise could be, it's about a Predator. Elle Fanning's in it. You know what this movie has a lot that has going for it that a lot of movies of its ilk that Tron Ares really didn't have? The anime crowd. This movie has more of an anime in terms of the adventuresome, the creature, the collaboration, that Elle Fanning plays a robot. I think once word of mouth gets out on this, because the word of mouth on this is spectacular. You know, even the naysayers, which seems to me a lot of them are just contrarian to be contrarian. It's like, come on, man, this movie's exactly what it's supposed to be. Both male and female audiences are embracing this movie. And I think we'll know. Look, we'll know.
At least the few that are seeing it.
Well, the people that, the few that are, that's true. But, and that's true because we live in a bubble and I can no longer trust my own instincts. But I'm going to choose to believe that the ratings are going up. Once people see this movie, word of mouth is going to carry it to success because word of mouth killed Tron Ares.
Yeah, it did.
It killed Tron Ares.
Not that I thought there was ever a lot of interest in the Tron franchise as a whole.
Right.
However, what would kill this is if the studio puts this on streaming in 2 or 3 weeks. Then word of mouth doesn't matter because
that's
they're
true.
removing it.
But I think we'll know. It'll be the numbers. The numbers, the preview audiences will see it tomorrow. They'll tell their friends on Friday, and we'll know on Saturday night or whatever if the box office is gonna explode on this. Maybe not explode, but 25 million. I mean, give me a break. Prey and Killer of Killers alone show that the audiences should be more interested than a $25 million box office. I mean, you're getting something that's been well thought of, that's been conceived by people that really love this franchise, both at the studio level and at the filmmaking level, and they're giving us something we haven't seen before. They're really reinventing the franchise in a unique way that does what I like to do, is go back to the Dark Horse comics and see how they dealt with the Predator franchise and give us something new that still is unmistakably a kick-ass Predator movie. So I'm hoping that that's what we get. And I'll tell you, I'll come in, I'll roll in here tomorrow and be honest.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
My expectations are high.
Yeah, mine too. So guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Despite the fact that the critic ratings on this thing keep getting higher and higher, the box office projections for its opening weekend have been dropping lower and lower. How big do you think it'll open? I gotta believe it's going to be bigger than 25 million. But whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, the Super Mario Brothers made like $1.3 billion. We got a new one coming, the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy. We got a live action Legend of Zelda movie coming in 2027.
Which I'm excited about.
Dude, listen. I withhold a lot of judgment until I see the first concepts and the trailers and everything, but I think the potential, the upside of a live action Legend of Zelda is very high. But lest you think that's it as far as Nintendo and getting involved in movies goes, it ain't. Because in an investor's presentation, in a shareholder's presentation, they laid out this. 2023 Mario Brothers, 2026 Mario Galaxy, 2027 Zelda, and 2 more with question marks. And they've come out and said, we are now in the movie business and we're going to put out a consistent cadence of movies moving forward. This comes to us from Nintendo Life. They wrote the following. If you're wondering if the plan is beyond this, Legend of Zelda, the company's latest financial briefing now has teased that there's even more on the way with a simple graphic. The aim is to build a framework for a quote-unquote consistent release cadence. Their representative said, following up on the release of Super Mario Bros. Movie in 2023, we have the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie scheduled for release in 2026 and the live-action movie of The Legend of Zelda planned for 2027. We are continuing to prepare for the ongoing release of movies in the future. And again, they in another part of the thing, they quoted a consistent release cadence. Nintendo didn't just do Mario Brothers. They are now saying, we are in the movie business. And by the way, they were very quick to point out in this same presentation, we are not just licensing our IP out. We are heavily involved in the financing and producing of these movies as well. They're a hands-on company.
As they should be.
And it worked pretty well for them with Super Mario Brothers. We'll see how well it does for Super Mario Galaxy, how it does for Legend of Zelda. So there's two real things here that are interesting to talk about. Number one is Nintendo now saying one single $1.3 billion film was enough to convince us we're in the movie business now. I respect that. I understand that. I agree with that. You might want to see how Galaxy and Legend of Zelda goes, particularly dipping their toe into live action, because they've dipped their toe into live action once before, and that didn't work out so well.
Man, it was the Predator Badlands situation. I mean, it was a great movie, and just nobody turned out.
Oh yeah, that was the problem with it. Yes,
Yeah.
it was just that nobody turned out for it. Man, that movie was so epically bad. That Mario Brothers movie. What year did that come out? Like 80?
89 or 90? Let me look it
It
up.
might have been 91 or 2 or 3.
So bad. So that's fascinating to me. Here's the problem, though.
93.
93. Oh, that was way later than I thought. Here's the problem. And we've discussed this before. It's one thing for a Mario Brothers movie to come out and do $1.3 billion. I'm even good with Legend of Zelda. That's the next closest thing.
Mm.
But unlike, say, a PS5 catalog, a PlayStation catalog, which developed its own studio, where you have multiple IP and like classic IP titles and all that kind of stuff that you can build a lot of different stuff around. When you think Nintendo, you think Mario Brothers. That may be fair or unfair, but it is what it is. And there is only one Mario Brothers that they have. Now you can say, oh, John, they have Kirby. Oh, John, they have... None of that has the multi-generational impact, effect, and fan base and following and long-term success of Mario Brothers. And I just don't know that Nintendo has the catalog of beloved, widely embraced IP, like the Mario Brothers IP is, that they can sustain an ongoing catalog. So, for example, when we go back and look at this graphic here, the two big question marks. Rob, I have next to no doubt one of those two is another Mario Brothers movie.
Right, sure.
I have no doubt. I have zero doubt that one of those is another Mario Brothers, because that's, I mean, look, 6 out of every 7 games Nintendo releases is a Mario Brothers game. Obviously, I'm being hyperbolic, but it makes the point. And I kind of suspect that maybe the other one is Donkey Kong, because they just put out that big, what's it called, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Ann and I got it. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun game. And they already introduced the Donkey Kong character. So I'm thinking these two might be that. Somebody in the live chat is saying GoldenEye. Nintendo does not have the rights to make a James Bond movie. Sorry, they don't. So it's another Mario Brothers movie. Donkey Kong. Maybe Luigi's Mansion, Haunted Mansion. Ann loves that game. That's a fun one too. But I just don't see a lot more beyond that. Listen, though, I applaud for them looking to try to spread their wings, dip their feet a little more deep, see if they can have more success, and we'll see where things go. Anyway, Rob, are you surprised to hear about Nintendo saying, hey, we're in the movie business now, and that they have announced that they're going to have a regular, consistent cadence of releases, and they've already got apparently 2 more on the slate? What do you think about it, and what do you think these 2 movies are?
I mean, they came out of the gate and made $1 billion.
1.3 billion.
You have to look at that and go, okay, well, and you've got, I was watching this guy. There's some not viral video, but there's some video on Instagram of some company is selling the N64. and you could buy it in like refurbished N64 and games, and the guy says, I'll throw in a Zelda Ocarina of Time for you. And I was like, wow, when I got my N64, I bought it specifically to play Shadows of the Empire, but I also played Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was thinking, what other, of course they're going to do this. But like you, I was just going to Google what other franchises does Nintendo have. I mean, hell, make it like the Lego movie. They could go to Disney and go, why don't we team up and make a Shadows of the Empire animated film?
Well, if they want to get into the licensing game, they've got Super Smash Brothers,
right?
Which is like a, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
You'd have to license a lot.
But I think
That's a lot of licensing.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in a position
Yeah.
for it.
I think if the Legend of Zelda movie does well, you could do a trilogy of those films. You know, that's going to be the same kind of thing. Like
That
you
you're
said.
right. That could be its own franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you could go back because they've already got various eras of Zelda too, and they've got those stories laid out. And the same thing, like you said, I think you're absolutely right. Donkey Kong movie, Mario Brothers, that universe, they could expand it out. I mean, you could do an F1 Mario Kart movie.
yeah.
Where you bring in all those characters and they have the fierce rivalry on the track, you know, and you make it a whole thing. I mean, there's ways you could exploit that for years to come. So I don't know what their deep catalog of characters that they own actually is, but the Mario universe and the Zelda universe seems to be pretty expandable. So I think it makes sense. The key is to maintain creative control so they don't allow what happened with the first Mario movie to happen.
Yeah, see, I don't know that they have creative control.
Well, if they're going to finance, how much money they're going to
input.
pony.
They're definitely going to have it. But if they continue to work, what was the animation studio they worked with to make Super Mario Brothers again?
I don't remember.
It wasn't Illumination, was it?
Let me look it up.
I can't remember now. Guys in the live chat, help us out. I don't. It might have been Illumination. No, the guys in the live chat are saying, yeah, it was Illumination.
Okay.
Because Illumination is not just going to go, oh yeah, you just have all creative control for the movie we made.
No,
right?
but I
they'll
don't
have input. They'll
But yeah, they have
yeah.
input. I mean, look, it's got to be a collaborative effort, and I think that Illumination wants input from
Agreed.
the franchise owners because they're not stupid. They keep making their own banger games, so it's got to be. And I think that they're open to that because they made $1 billion.
But when you think about it, I guess on the one hand, let's just say Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Luigi's Haunted Mansion. Those are just 3 titles that you could make 3 or 4 movies out of by themselves. I mean, that could be enough to fill your movie slate for the next 10 years or more. So it's going to be interesting. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Nintendo is now saying, hey, folks, we're in the movie business now, and we intend to stay in the movie business, and we are going to put out a regular cadence of releases. What do you think those films could be? Do you think they can enjoy the same success that Super Mario Brothers had? I have my doubts. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we?
Oh boy.
It's a dark day, my friends.
Oh, says you.
Dark day. Well, it depends. Paramount, of course, has just been acquired by Skydance, and they're looking at making some big moves. And some of the moves they're talking about, not all of them, but some of the ones they're talking about are really, really cool. But one of the things they got to decide to do with what are they going to do with Star Trek? You guys remember that the Kelvin timeline Star Trek, that's the one that started with J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, and then following 2 films. By the way, I thought the first and the third were fantastic. The second one was whatever. But there's been talk for a long time about, are they going to get around to doing a 4th one? Remember, originally the plan was that they were going to have Chris Pine as Captain Kirk and Chris Hemsworth, who appeared in the first film as George Kirk, who was Captain Kirk's dad, come back, and there was going to be multi-timeline hijinks, stuff like that, a bunch of other ideas. But it's kind of sat dormant for a really long time and nothing's come of it. Well, now, according to a report, you can see here in this headline, this is TrekCore, Paramount has officially moved on from Star Trek Kelvin's Timeline sequel film, and they're going to be looking to refresh and restart Star Trek. This comes to us from Variety, who says this. Now, remember, this is not a headline in Variety. This is a final line in a 3rd paragraph, but still. Variety wrote this. Some long gestating productions, such as the Miles Teller sports drama Winter Games, have been put in a turnaround, while there has also been a focus on reinvigorating certain franchises. The hope is to have a fresh Star Trek movie, though the studio has moved on from the idea of bringing back Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of the ensemble from the J.J. Abrams reboot. Sounds like they're moving on from that. All right. I have a couple of thoughts. Maybe even a little conflicting, but a couple of thoughts. First off, when that first Chris Pine Star Trek movie came out, I spent a good year and a half dumping on it, saying Star Trek is a dead franchise, and I wasn't wrong. It was absolutely a dead franchise. It was not creating new fans. Literally the fan base for that show were not figuratively, literally dying off and not being replenished with new fans, with new generations or anything like that. The viewership of the latter movies and shows continued to be in massive decline. The box offices were non-existent. And I thought, this is a stupid idea. Why do a Star Trek movie? This is ridiculous. This is a dead franchise. And then that movie came out. And the best thing I can say for it is that it made me excited about Star Trek again. Something I hadn't been since The Next Generation. It made me, who has totally given up on Star Trek, along with a lot of other people, but it made me interested and excited about Star Trek again. Now, their follow-up one where they did Khan wasn't so great. I love the third one that Simon Pegg wrote. I really like the third one.
Star Trek Beyond.
Beyond, yeah. I really did like that one quite a lot. And so, for me, as somebody who... I think there are Star Trek fans here today simply because those movies exist. I know my interest in Star Trek got reinvigorated because of it. It's kind of sad to hear that they're going to move on from that particular iteration of the franchise. On the other hand, I do not necessarily think it's the wrong move. I mean, the reality is, how many years has it been since Beyond came out?
Almost 10.
It's been almost 10 years since that came out. I think, and listen, Star Trek in and of itself as an IP is still a viable IP. But I think you are putting yourself in the best position to realize the potential of that IP by starting fresh again. Now, I don't think whatever they're going to do is going to have any impact on what they're doing on the television side, but at least for their movies, whatever this new version of a Kelvin timeline will be, maybe it'll be the Pontiff timeline or the Scarce timeline or whatever they're going to call it. I honestly think, while I feel a little bit sad that we're not going to get that Star Trek 4, it is time to refresh it on the big screen. Like Rob said, it's been 10 years since that last one, man. And so I don't think the audience for it is still even going to be around. And by the way, it in and of itself was a diminishing audience. So there's that too. So I like the idea. I think you got to refresh this thing, start brand new, give us a brand new Kirk, give us a brand new Spock, give us a brand new Chekhov and a brand new Sulu and a brand new Scotty and a brand new Uhura and a brand new Bones. And, just start it all over again. It's been long enough. It's time. And I think it's your best shot of success. So I'm sad about it, but I also agree with it. Anyway, Rob, I can't imagine you have any thoughts on this, but
Not really.
I will throw it over to you just in case you come up with something off the top of your head.
I got nothing. Here's what I will say. Star Trek from 1966 to 2005 did something interesting that no other franchise had done, in that it created a continuity and always moved forward. It created its own internal universe. You had Star Trek, the original series, that moved on to the motion picture. Well, there's the animated series that carried on, then the motion picture, which did the classical cruise series. Then in 87 created the Next Generation, jumped 100 years in the timeline.
It wasn't like Fox X-Men, which was continuity schmontinuity.
No.
It literally created
and while there's a lot of inconsistencies, it was pretty consistent.
Sure. And look at the Klingons.
Yeah, and
but
then
for the most part, you're right, completely solid.
And then you had Deep Space Nine went forward, Star Trek Voyager went forward, and then they decided to make Star Trek Enterprise and go back and tell the story of the beginning of the Federation, which we hadn't seen before. They were trying to fill in things that we hadn't seen. So from 66 to 2005, you had new stories, new characters all the time, adding to the universe. Then in 2009, the decision was made to go back. They wanted to go back to Kirk, Spock, and McCoy because that's what Star Trek is. Alternate universe. I won't get into whether it worked or not, but in terms of the diminishing box office of those 3 movies. But then Strange New Worlds, a prequel series that doesn't really want to be a prequel series. Star Trek Discovery, a prequel series, again, where it didn't, the one paradigm to look at is that Star Trek should reflect the time in which it's made. And it showed that the original series and the subsequent series showed that from 66 to 2005, they were able to make Star Trek that reflected the concept itself and the time in which it was made. They had put in a counselor on the bridge for Next Generation, reflecting how people were more interested in, say, things like mental health. That was something that wasn't around because it was very military when it first started. So Star Trek is a rich storytelling environment in which you can tell new stories and introduce new characters all the time because they did it for 30 plus years. So I would think that the opportunity to reinvent Star Trek, now you've got the core concepts, the core universe, you've got all the things people remember, but you have a really interesting opportunity. They talked about, they wanted to make a movie again about the birth of the Federation.
Right.
No, tell a movie about, or make a movie or a series about characters that reflect where we are today as human beings.
Could you not do that with like an Origins of the Federation thing?
Well, I think you could, but we've that they've already gone. They've dealt with that, and to go back and say, okay, you're gonna go backwards again. The thing about Star Trek is you've always moved forward to a certain extent, and it's an allegorical show that reflects on what's going on with humanity today. How does it appeal to what's going on? We've got generative AI that's going to become super intelligent AI. We have globalization happening. We've got all these things that are happening in our world that are ripe to be examined in a science fiction context. What you need is what they're doing over at Fox with the Predator franchise. You need somebody like a Dan Trachtenberg. Noah Hawley was going to do Star Trek 4. Mm-hmm. You know, and they've had female directors come and go, male directors come and go. Scripts were written, nothing happened. What they need is a visionary who wants to make a Star Trek film that adds to the universe. Somebody like what Dan Trachtenberg did with Predator by making a movie like Prey. Now, that was interesting because he went back in time and showed us something that was alluded to in the Predator films, but we'd never seen it. And what he's done with Badlands is he's gone forward in time, way past the Weyland-Yutani future that we've seen in the Alien movies and way past what we've seen in the Predator franchise. So I think that's what Star Trek needs. It needs brand new creative blood that's going to reconceptualize the whole idea of Star Trek from the top up, from the bottom up. And it could work. And by the way, don't spend $200 million on it. Star Trek has always been a niche thing. It's always been about ideas. They tried to turn it into an action franchise, and it didn't really work.
Kind of did, but I mean,
not with the amount of money they spent.
Is Paramount interested in making a niche thing?
No,
I think any studio is going to look at this and think, how can we make this?
But all great franchises started out as niche things, and then they became successful because they were good. Who thought John Wick would turn into John Wick? You know, they went and they made a lower budget. They had people that knew what they were doing. You go and watch that movie. That movie is great. You know, and it's not about budget. It was about character and story, the way it always is. And what they did was they didn't make John Wick 1 and then go make a $200 million John Wick movie. They've slowly built that franchise. Slowly scaled it up. Now we've got 5 movies.
John Wick wasn't in outer space with starships.
No.
But it would be awesome if it was.
But I'll tell you.
That would be a movie I'll go see tonight.
The original series was limited. You know, they couldn't show a lot of spaceships. And I think that it would be interesting to try a different approach. That's all I'm saying.
But let me put you on the spot here then. Okay, so Paramount decides they're going to restart, right?
Yeah.
Do you, the way I see you've got 3 options here. Do you start again with the core identifiable, recognizable characters, but make it reflect today's society rather than the society of 1966? Do you say, no, this is still that same universe with William Shatner's Captain Kirk, but now it's 300 years, you know, it's 100 years past the events of Deep Space Nine or what have you? Or do you say, not to hell with all that. Forget Kirk, forget Spock. Let's just restart this Star Trek universe. We'll hold on to the core ideas of the Federation, you know, Klingons, Ramen. Which of those options? If you were in charge, Elson gives you a call today and say, what should be our seed? What should be our starting point for this? What's our philosophy of it? Is it with Kirk? Is it same timeline as Kirk of the future? Timeline without Kirk? How would you approach
No,
it?
I would say this. You have an opportunity to create a whole new cast of characters. You've got the universe that exists. You've got all the iconography, starships, Klingons, Romulans, whatever. You've got all that. But you create a whole new group of characters that belong to today. The thing about Kirk and Spock and going back in time is you're trying to reinvent these characters that were originally conceived of in the 60s.
Sure, yeah.
And they've been around for a long time. And now you're looking at, and they keep doing it. They keep, like, how many Spocks have we seen now? You know, you see these multiple, and they keep changing Spock's character to be more along, to fit along. Like, let's give him a learning disability, which is a kind of a bastardization of the character, just to make it more, well, why not create a new character that has a learning disability and go in there?
But you were just advocating for make it reflect more of the issues of the
I
day.
would,
characters.
but not characters that already previously existed that you just come in and change.
So you're saying this new cast of characters would exist in a universe where Kirk and Spock and all them did exist?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying is still continuing the continuity.
And you move forward.
It's what we want with Star Wars.
The same way, by the way, the
Move
same
forward.
way that House of the Dragon exists 100 years before Game of Thrones, and that we're going to see Night of the Seven Kingdoms that exists. I mean, it's that world of Westeros, and the same could be true, you know, of the Lord of the Rings movies. But the Lord of the Rings movies, rather than embrace the timeline and go back to the first age, they have to tie it. Well, we have to make sure Gandalf's in it, and everybody twists themselves into a bunch trying to get this all to work. Whereas Star Trek has already given you a template for 30 years. Here's how to create a new crew.
Okay, now let me put a question to you. With all of its failings, all 3 Star Wars sequels made over $1 billion. With all of its failings, The Rings of Power Season 2 had a massive spike in its viewership. If one were to argue that there is not an audience for a continuation of that Star Trek anymore, particularly if you don't have, like, people who are not Trekkies, Trekkers, whichever the phrase is for today, who they only recognize Kirk and Spock and whatever. If one were to say that would have a very hard time getting an audience, just as Star Trek itself had a hard time keeping its audience, what would you say what would be your pitch to a studio boardroom to say it can be renewed, it can be revitalized, and it can gain an audience?
Well,
what would be your pitch?
My pitch would be Star Trek: The Next Generation, because when Star Trek: The Next Generation was first announced, even Star Trek fans, the core audience, was like, "You can't do that." Even Patrick Stewart will tell you the story that his management people said, "Just come to. You're going to get 13 episodes. It's never going to work. You can never revive an icon." Even people at Paramount are like, "You're giving us a bald, middle-aged captain?
Ew.
He's going to replace Kirk?" Even Gene Roddenberry wasn't sold on Patrick Stewart. You know, it was Bob Justman who saw Patrick Stewart on stage and said, "This is our guy." So you go back and you look at The Next Generation, which was something that people were all dubious about and thought, you can't do that. And I would look at The Next Generation as the model and go, you're creating a whole different set of characters. You're doing the exact opposite of what they did. Look at Kirk, your central character. You know, you have this swashbuckling 34-year-old Canadian in the role of Kirk, and you're going to replace him with a priggish, stodgy old Brit from the Royal Shakespeare Company with no hair? Come on, that's never going to work.
I would say,
Sejanus.
though, that Star Trek itself was in a much healthier place as an IP when Next Generation came
Well,
out.
you
than,
are
say,
right.
When J.J. Abrams' Star Trek
That
came
is very
out,
true,
right?
because Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, had come out the year previous in '86,
You know,
and it was the
Gracie's
highest
Still my
grossing.
favorite one.
But that's right, and you know
Yeah,
what?
still my
There's a
favorite.
movie that didn't cost a lot because it was shot mostly on Earth.
They need to be doing these for lower budget.
Yeah, I mean that
100%,
shows. I mean,
absolutely.
and I would say both of those things, that Star Trek 4 and The Next Generation, are where you should look to making great Star Trek again.
All right, guys. Question is for you. It sounds like, at least according to this one line at the bottom of the third paragraph of a different article altogether, from Variety, though, a major outlet, that it looks like Paramount is looking to move on from the Kelvin timeline. It's been 10 years since the last one. It is probably time to do that. But what do they do? How do they revive this franchise on the big screen? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to play ourselves a little round of what's more likely.
Uh-oh.
A little bit earlier, we jumped on the community tab. We asked you guys on the YouTube channel if you have any what's more likely scenarios with us. Jonathan's got a few picked out and ready to read them off. So, Jonathan, what do we got?
All right, Rob, we'll start with you.
Uh-oh. Here it comes.
What's more likely when we hear from Really Wish Predator Badlands will be successful and they will continue the franchise as planned, or it will flop and Disney will reevaluate the franchise?
Well, I'm going to choose to be optimistic on this and say that it's going to be successful. The fact is, they've had 2 movies that were very well received that didn't break the bank. And Predator Badlands is not a huge... What Steve Asbell has done, the president of 20th Century Studios, is not make these movies cost $200 million. Even Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is heavily reliant on CG, costs less than War for the Planet of the Apes, the 3rd movie. So they've been very mindful about budgets. And if the thing is, if Predator Badlands is a critical success, which it already is a critical success.
It already is, yeah.
And it might not make the kind of money. Maybe they'll continue it to go on as a Hulu property. You know, if there's still interesting stories to tell, because Prey did well, and so did Killer of Killers, as far as I understand, and they were on Hulu. But if this kills the big franchise in the theater, I don't think the Predator franchise is dead.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's more likely for the success. And the main reason I'm going to say that is because you said it doesn't do so well and Disney rethinks it. Here's the thing. I think their philosophy right now is they're looking at this as we are rebuilding something here. And I think when let me put it into a sports analogy for you. When a team is rebuilding, they're not expecting to win a lot of games next season. Look at the New York Jets right now. They just traded away all their best players because the team is terrible. They're accumulating draft picks, and so they're rebuilding. And when you rebuild, you got to know you're going to lose a bunch of games, whatever, but you have a bigger goal that's going to take some time getting there. I think their philosophy right now with this Predator and Alien combined franchise is that they're building. So even if it doesn't do great at the box office, I don't think at this point, this early point in the rebuilding process, I don't think they're going to go, oh, now we got to rethink everything. So I don't even think that's an option on the table. So I'm going to say it's more likely that it becomes successful.
Yes.
All right, what's next?
Okay, John, what's more likely here when we hear from ISS Productions, Spider-Man Brand New Day, or The Odyssey passing 1 billion?
This one's going to be the easiest one of the day to me, I think. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Listen, The Odyssey absolutely has the potential of crossing $1 billion. It does. Because Oppenheimer almost did. But that's a potential to do that. The last Spider-Man movie nearly made $2 billion. Understand this. Even if the next Spider-Man movie makes half of what the last one did, you're still talking about it making Oppenheimer numbers. So yeah, clearly and easily. Look, both of them could be billion-dollar films, but if you're asking me which one it's most likely going to do it, easily Spider-Man Brand New Day. Rob, what about you?
100%. I'm with you 100% on this. And I have to say that, look, I don't bet against C-Note. I don't. But he did make Tenet. And Tenet,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I own it. And I still look at Tenet, beautifully made. I'm like, I don't know. But this film, The Odyssey, of all the movies that Christopher Nolan has made, look, I never thought anybody would go see Dunkirk. And I watched Dunkirk, and I thought it was pretty much kind of a masterpiece in terms
made
of what
a lot of money for the kind of movie it is.
I mean, it made over $500 million. And for cocked World War II story, Americans don't know. I mean, it was an incredible story. Don't get me wrong. But for Americans, like, what's Dunkirk? We all went. It was amazing. Even Quentin Tarantino said it was a masterpiece. So I'm not going to bet against C-Note. But this is, after all, a sword and sandal movie. I mean, it's about Odysseus. You know, it's about Sean Bean's character from Troy. And in a way, this movie is a sequel to Troy, even though it has nothing to do with Wolfgang Petersen's original film.
You know how I kind of look at it? Remember the Kiefer Sutherland Three Musketeers movie?
And
then
the Man in the Iron
Leonardo
Mask?
DiCaprio Man in the Iron Mask movie? I totally see those as sequels to each other, even though they're not.
Yeah, it's absolutely. But this is literally a sequel to Troy. And Ralph Fiennes played the character. We saw him last year in that movie when the same story when he goes home and his wife's waiting for him. But C-Note's doing it, so I'm like, okay.
By the way, either way, Tom Holland's making a lot of money. He's a star, both of them.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you know, he's living his best life.
This dude is marrying Zendaya. For heaven's sake, it doesn't get much better in life for this guy right now. He's Spider-Man. He's marrying Zendaya. He's got these massive films coming out next year. It's good to be Tom Holland right now.
And even Timothée Chalamet says that Tom Holland
Timothée?
Timothée Chalamet.
He says that Tom Holland is the Riz master.
This
That guy has got it going on.
This all from a guy who said when we reported on was like taking a step away from acting.
Yeah, so much for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. What's the next one?
Okay, next up, I believe we're going to switch over to Rob here. Is this what's more likely? Absolute Cinema says Stranger Things 5 or The Boys has a disappointing finale.
Boy.
Huh.
You know what? Since the question has a disappointing finale, I can't say both are going to be great. That's not because that's not the question.
Yeah, which is more likely?
I have to pick. I think it's more likely that The Boys has a disappointing finale. Because Stranger Things, it already kind of looks epic. The Boys, though, could peter out, even though I love The Boys. I love The Boys.
I love the last season of The Boys, too.
I did, too.
Yeah.
The Boys has never let me down.
It was a total WTF finish to the season, and like, holy crap.
Yeah, I know. So, and even though I haven't watched Gen V, people say it's good, second season. But I'm going to go with The Boys only because they're putting Stranger Things in a theater. So they must know something we don't.
All right. For the record, I don't think either of them will disappoint.
I don't either.
But I'm going to say this. I'm going to go the opposite of you on this one, Rob. I'm going to say the one that's more likely to disappoint is going to be Stranger Things, because Stranger Things has already disappointed its audience once with that one season where
Season 2.
11 went running off. And I personally like that season, but a lot of people didn't. And it's got a lot to live up to and all that kind of stuff. For me, and I'm only speaking for myself, but you're asking us, The Boys has never disappointed me. Like,
That's
every move, every turn, everything they've done has just been bonkers good to me. And I don't see them running out of steam. So again, I don't think either will disappoint, but since Stranger Things has already kind of disappointed their audience once or twice, I guess that's the one that's more likely to disappoint.
Salient point you're making there. Can't disagree.
I can't wait to watch both of them though. All right, what's next?
All right, John, what's more likely here when we hear from Nathan Winning? Avengers Doomsday is the lowest grossing Avengers movie or the highest grossing Avengers movie?
You know, I said the other one's going to be the easiest one of the day. This one's easier. It's more likely it'll be the lowest grossing one out of the Avengers movies. Look, that's still a high number. There hasn't been an Avengers movie that did not break and exceed the $1 billion mark. So even if this thing makes $1 billion, it'll be the lowest grossing of it. And you got to understand that the Marvel Cinematic, there has never been an Avengers movie that has come out than when the MCU is in a weaker state than it is right now. Listen, we can all agree, like, however good or bad you think the MCU is right now, I think we can all agree that it's a little bit weaker than it was when Infinity War came out, that it's a little bit weaker than it was when Avengers Age of Ultron came out. So you combine that with, for it to be the highest grossing movie of it, that means you're talking about an MCU the way it is right now, it's going to put out an MCU movie that makes $3 billion. Not going to happen. Like, I don't think it'll be the lowest grossing either, but it's impossible. I'll say it. It's not even remotely possible that this thing hits $3 billion. Now, Secret Wars, different discussion. We'll talk about that after Doomsday comes out. But as far as Doomsday goes, I think it is more likely that it ends up being the lowest grossing of the three. And that wouldn't be the end of the world if it did. As long as it's good, it could build up to Secret Wars being the biggest ever.
Right.
But I think it is more likely out of the two options that it'll be the lowest of the Avengers franchise. Rob, what about you?
I agree with you. And I think the reason I say this is because the big problem, do you remember at the beginning of Age of Ultron when they're attacking the Hydra base in the snow?
Yes.
And there's that one long shot where
Right.
the camera's going from each member of the Avengers, and then you see
Love that shot, actually.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
dope, right? You think about that now, it gives me chills. We don't even know who the Avengers are. All we know is that Sam Wilson leads the Avengers. That's it. There you go. And you know what? When you saw that, you love every one of those characters. You couldn't wait to see those characters get back together and kick ass. And Joss Whedon came out blazing, guns blazing, and gave us this shot the first 10 minutes of the movie. He knew what the assignment was. And then we also meet Quicksilver and Wanda in that
Scarlet,
facility.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, this is like this. I don't even know who these people are. We're going into an Avengers movie where literally we don't know. We don't. Is Clint Barton back in? Is Hawkeye back in the Avengers? Did Doctor Strange ever come back from his sojourn to an alternate reality with Charlize Theron? We don't know. So
What's her name again? Is it Clea?
Clea, yeah.
Yeah.
What? I mean, we don't know.
That's because the opening of this is not. They're not going to be assembled yet. It'll be probably near.
Right. So you're
end.
asking the audience to buy into an Avengers movie just because it's called Doomsday. We have yet to meet Doctor Doom, and we have yet to meet the Avengers. All we know is that the Thunderbolts, which didn't do very well, are the new Avengers, and that Sam Wilson's suing him. That's not the way to start an Avengers superhero movie.
Or is it?
I mean, unless, are they going to open up in court?
You know what it needs? Trade disputes over trade routes.
Dude, I'll tell you.
I'm in.
Do that. A lot of people don't get
this
that
movie,
reference.
they're-
This can mean only one thing.
Ready.
If
Invasion.
they don't have Jennifer Walters negotiating or in court trying to figure out with Sam Wilson and with the new Avengers figuring out who gets to use the name Avengers, they're missing an opportunity. As a matter of fact, why don't they do an hour-long special?
Let's do that.
A Christmas special that's going to precede the Avengers
Well, now, to be
Doomsday
fair,
movie.
We do have a Spider-Man Brand New Day movie coming out and a year's worth of marketing to
It's true,
set the stage.
but I'm being asked to get excited about a movie called Avengers. We just saw what the Avengers look like when they're kicking major ass.
Rob,
Major
you're-
bootay.
This week you're all over the place. Literally yesterday you said you're so in for this movie.
Hey,
and
that
you're-
wasn't the question. I'm in. I am in. I have made a conscious effort. I can't wait to see Avengers Doomsday, but this is within the context
All right.
of this question.
All right. Fair
All
enough.
right. What's next?
Okay, well, we're gonna stick here with Rob. What's more likely when we hear from D'Artagnan Lamparty? With Stephen King adaptations hot right now, what's more likely, a remake of Mist or Cujo?
Well, I'm going to say because Cujo is in the midst of a remake, so they're already doing
Yeah,
that.
I was going to say, yeah.
In the midst
I
of
don't
a
think
remake.
they're ever going to remake The Mist.
Aw.
I really don't think so. That movie's pretty definitive. I mean, I love The Mist. It's a hard watch at the end, but Cujo is getting remade. But I think Stephen King, when there's good, I mean, think about it, dude. Stand By Me was 86.
Yeah.
Mist was 90, 89. I mean, not Mist, Misery.
Misery.
And they've been, I mean, just this year, we've had The Monkey, The Institute, The Long Walk, The Running Man, and we're getting The Life of Chuck. That's just this year.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of Stephen King.
Man, by the way, nobody saw Life of Chuck.
No, and it's great.
Nobody
Good
saw Long
movie, man.
Walk.
Good
It's so
movie.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, people didn't get The Long Walk.
Yeah, I would, I do think they'll do The Mist again. I really, there's just a lot there that you could, like, in the hands of another director, that you could do, like, and you're right, the ending is rough, man.
And Welcome to Derry.
Yeah, which, by the way, I haven't watched episode 2 yet. I decided I'm going to wait till the 3rd episode comes out so I can watch 2 and 3 back
I haven't
to back.
started, so I'll do all three.
By the way, also Welcome to Derry kind of ties into The Mist.
Well,
It's
there's
going
a
in
lot
that
of little
tie-ins
tie-ins to a lot of
Yeah.
Stephen
I
King
mean,
stuff.
yeah. It's
But I'll be the one I want is actually Cujo. I think a modern horror story about the family dog, we just had Good Boy. Go the opposite way now.
Bad boy.
Yeah,
Bad
if
boy.
you think about all the things they haven't yet, like the Tommy Knockers and
Yeah.
Duma Key, which I actually kind of liked. I mean, there's still a lot of Stephen King to be mined, and they talk about. I think it's dead, but they were going to make more The Stand. They were going to do The Stand again, 3 more Stand movies.
They were going to do a television series around it, and that didn't work out.
All right.
All right, what's next?
We got our final one here. John, that's back to you. What's more likely when we hear from Lost Anchor Film, The Hunt for Gollum will make more money than any of the Hobbit movies or will make less than any of them?
Well, again, you're talking about a film that, when you're talking about the Hobbit films, they peaked over $1 billion.
Yeah.
I don't think The Hunt for Gollum is going to be $1 billion film, right? I just don't think that's a possibility. So making more than any of them, no. But can it be successful? It absolutely can be. I mean, look, you got Peter Jackson, who's boots on the ground, like hands in the dirt, completely involved in the making of this. You got his second unit director actually directing the film with him. Peter Jackson and his partner are writing the script for it. I have very little doubt it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch it, and I think it's going to make a lot of money. But more than the Hobbit films, if you were asking, will it be better than any of them or worse than any of them, that becomes a different discussion. But as far as will it make more or less, it's not going to be $1 billion film. So I'm going to say it's more likely it makes less than them. And that's, by the way, not necessarily a bad thing because the Hobbit films made a lot of money.
Yeah.
$1 billion each. Almost.
I agree with you. I think by definition, The Hunt for Gollum's going to make less money because the story's smaller. You know, it's just smaller in scope. It can be made for less money. It's more of an intimate tale. I mean, unless they expand it like they did with The Hobbit, which I don't necessarily think was the best thing in the world for those movies to get as big as they did.
To take the smallest book and make it into 3 films?
Yeah. And this is just a tinier story within a larger story, a story that's out of Lord of the Rings. And I think this movie could be good, but I don't think it's going to make a ton of money. Not the kind of money that Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit made.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who sent in those topics and scenarios for us to talk about. What if? Keep your guys' eyes open for the next time we put out a call for submissions. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? News was just breaking as we were ending yesterday's show. I saw it, but I decided it was too late for us to jump into it. I thought we would do it today. But guys, it's happening. Brendan Fraser is officially, according to Variety here, returning for another Mummy movie. I don't know if it's going to be called The Mummy 4, Mum Fast, Mum Furious.
Oh, yes.
Whatever they're going to call this thing, a fourth Mummy. And Rachel Weisz is going to be joining him as well. It's happening, guys. It's happening. This comes to us from Variety, who writes the following. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are returning for another Mummy adventure. Filmmakers Matt Bettolini-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, who call themselves Radio Silence, are set to direct the fourth installment in the decades-old action franchise. Bettolini-Olpin and Gillette are best known for 2019's Ready or Not, which we love around here, and reviving the Scream franchise, which I didn't think was possible, in the 2022 film. Universal, the studio behind the original monster movies, had no comment. Wow. Listen, it was back when the, Fraser-sance started to happen, when he won his Academy Award for what's called
The Whale.
The Whale.
For The Whale, people started talking. He should do another Mummy movie, which seemed ridiculous at the time. Then Michelle Yeoh won her Academy Award. Of course, she was in one of the Mummy movies. And they're all of a sudden talking about, and even Michelle Yeoh was talking about, well, now if we did it again, you'd have 2 Academy Award winners in it. Which, okay, haha. Brendan Fraser at the time was not in the physical shape to do a Mummy movie. But
that's what Ozempic's for.
We all put that aside. Time passed. People kind of forgot about it. Apparently Paramount didn't forget about it. They thought, you know what? That's a good idea. By the way, how great
isn't it Universal?
They did. They said this one is going to be for... no. This one's going to be for Universal. Yes. I thought they were moving it over to Paramount. They're not. It's for Universal. By the way, just kind of throwing this out there too. This director duo, I think, is an inspired choice.
So good.
An inspired choice to do it. Of course, would I have been more excited if we heard Steven Spielberg was going to direct it? Well, sure. But this is a great choice to do this. And that new Brendan Fraser movie, Rent-A-Family?
Yeah, I want to see that.
It looks really good.
That looks like it could be his next Academy Award nomination.
I mean,
that movie looks so good.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying Michelle Yeoh is going to be in this. I will bet money Michelle Yeoh is going to be in this. They'll figure out a way to.
What about The Rock? Is the Scorpion King going to come back?
I will put money that The Rock will not be in this movie. 100%. I don't believe The Rock's going to be in this movie. The Return of the Scorpion King. Rachel Weisz coming in here. Look, if I'm not remembering incorrectly, was The Mummy not the movie that opened up against Star Wars: The Phantom Menace? I didn't look into this. I'm
gonna look it up on Box Office right now.
But I think it came out right, if not on the same day,
May 7th, 1999. Now let me look up.
Yeah, when did Phantom Menace came out May 25th.
Okay, so it came out close. It
Close.
came out in the vicinity.
Or not May, something like that.
May 19th. So
Okay, so it came out within
almost
2
a week.
weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Of each other. So it's right around that same vicinity of those movies coming out. That's a long time ago, man. This thing is ages old. But I'll tell you what. Look, I'll tell you what I don't want to have in this. I don't want Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz to be in this movie for 15 minutes, and it's actually them passing the torch on.
Oh, come on.
To the
That's a bait and
newest
switch.
Tomb Raiders. You know, I want Brendan Fraser. I want Rachel Weisz. And if you can manage it somehow, I want Michelle Yeoh. And you know, whatever else you're going to bring into this. I think this is a great idea. This has nostalgia. It's peaking right as Brendan Fraser is making his big return again with this new movie coming out too, that I think he's going to get some Oscar buzz for. It's good timing. Look, it's not going to be $1 billion franchise, Rob. I don't think anybody's going to have any delusions of grandeur about that. But this can be a successful franchise. This could be the relaunch of a franchise.
Oh, I mean, look, it opens the door to Encino Man 2.
That's what we're all really thinking. And
Or
with
School
honors,
Ties
too.
too.
School Ties
when he comes
too.
back and teaches.
Oh, man. The schooling.
The school. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this little story. What do you think about this?
Dude, I got to tell you, this is the most inspiring, heartwarming thing I heard all day yesterday. I was so excited when I heard it. I had a bunch of people sending me texts and information about this, and I'm like, what a great idea. You know, and I felt like, oh, if Brendan Fraser's going to take on this role, I can work out like he's going to work out to get back in shape. You know, no, but I think who doesn't love the Mummy movies? You know, there's this. Look, to be honest, I didn't love the Mummy movies. To be honest,
Somebody in the live,
Who doesn't love this? Well,
somebody
me.
in the live
but
chat just said, "Call it Mummy Mia."
there you go.
Mamma Mia.
but I think that
Here we
people
go
have. There's a
again.
great affection for this franchise, and especially
Yeah.
for these characters. And I love Rachel Weisz. I've always loved her, and I like Brendan Fraser, and I really like his career resurgence. But this is a franchise that deserves. I mean, if they keep in the timeline, it'd be into the 50s, kind of like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull
Oh,
was in
yeah.
the 50s.
Yeah, something like that.
So it could be really interesting. Like you could do something. And look, with all the weird information that's been coming out of the pyramids and the Graham Hancock and talking about ancient civilizations, there's stuff that's ripe to be mined here. You know, what if we find out that all the megalith structures around the world are coming to life or something? I can't wait. I didn't love all the CG in the Mummy movies and Stephen Sommers between.
Well, it was pretty early in
It was early on, but man,
yeah.
then he made Van Helsing. I'm like, bro, I'm out. But I want to see this happen. I can't wait. I'm excited. Bring it on.
I don't think you recapture one of the elements of this that when I say it's a throwback, I don't just mean the style or took place in the 30s, but actual audiences. It was a throwback to the old time of cinema
old
where
adventure films.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
where the female audiences fell in love with Brendan Fraser
With
Yeah.
George of the Jungle.
and
yeah.
the male audiences all fell in love for as far as I know with Rachel Weisz. Like audiences just fell in love with those people. You know?
I mean, it was just, you're right. They were old time Hollywood style adventure. And if they can find a way to recapture that, then they could have something pretty special. And listen, if Ready or Not had that kind of flavor to it as well, it had that old
did.
style kind of fun and whatever involved with it as well. And I mean, this could be something, look, this could be a complete disaster. Could be pretty fun.
But I think that these directors are an inspired choice. They've showed, look, Ready or Not is a hoot, man. That movie is so much fun. And you know what? This is going to seem weird to say, but the sensibility that brought us Ready or Not and what they did with Scream, even though they have nothing to do with the Mummy franchise, the guys who made Ready or Not, I want them doing a Mummy movie because they'll bring that same, especially if you see, they're going to bring that same craziness where they're going to be able to thread that needle with genre and unexpected horror, and it was good. Ready or Not really surprised me.
well, they did Abigail too. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the wait? Are they the same people who did Abigail?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I already thought it was an inspired choice. Hell yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Hell yes. Abigail's great. All right, let me throw something out there.
Abigail is
Let me
great.
throw this out. Since we are enjoying and living in the vast, glorious glow of Brendan Fraser, if this were, as Jonathan kind of facetiously alluded to, if this could lead to another sequel of one of the great Brendan Fraser movies, which one would you want it to be? And seriously, like I'd be down for that. Jonathan, let me ask you first. but a Brendan Fraser movie that you would actually legitimately be down for if they announced a sequel to this, piggybacking on the promotion and publicity of The Mummy getting a new one.
Boy.
I think you already said it.
Yeah, I think I may have already said it. I don't know. I'm just kind of going through his.
Since you said it, and you're just.
I'll give you mine. I'll give you mine. So fast, I would be at the movie theater with money in my hand. Bedazzled 2. I would give my left nut to see Bedazzled.
Wow,
2.
that's unexpected.
I love that movie. Capital L, love that. We play good and we shot good. It's such a good movie, man.
It'd be kind of.
Cocaine. It's one of the best. It's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
It just would not do well at all. But in Airheads 2 would be kind of cool.
Oh, that's
Following back now, they're all in their like.
well. That would the same thing I was gonna say about an Encino Man, because what's he like today?
Right.
What does Encino Man become?
How about this? What say you to this? So we're all probably going to assume that Fraser's going to get himself back into fighting shape if he's going to do a mummy adventure film and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so fine. But what if he doesn't? And we just say, you know what? Actually, Brendan, just go sit on the couch for 2 or 3 months and have some Whoppers. And we're going to do George of the Jungle 2, the later years. Only like George has let himself go. I'd be down. Wasn't it?
Or do it like Castaway. Shoot it when he's let himself go, and then have him transform like Tom Hanks.
But Apatow's wife's name, Judd Apatow's wife,
Leslie Mann.
Is it Leslie Mann?
Isn't Leslie?
Yeah, Leslie Mann, who was, by the way, one of the best parts of 40-Year-Old Virgin. Let's get some fucking French toast. She was the love interest in George of the Jungle. Remember that? Holy crap, that's going back a ways. Anyway, sorry. This is a fun discussion that I could have all day, going back over Brendan Fraser's filmography. But this is happy news, guys. I mean, come on.
So good.
Who didn't have a smile on their face when they heard the news that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are coming back to do another
You know who
movie?
didn't? Tom Cruise and Alex Kurtzman.
Well, see, here's the thing. That thought crossed my mind.
I'm just kidding.
Here's something Brendan Fraser. Look, I don't think anybody should ever. I don't think an artist should ever crap talk another artist or another artist's work. But somebody directly put the question to Brendan Fraser once about why don't you think the new Mummy movie worked? And so he was directly point blank asked, and I really liked his answer. And it kind of goes back to what we were already just talking about, those Mummy movies. He said this. He said, I think maybe the reason they didn't work and connect with audiences is because I don't believe you can do a Mummy movie as a straight horror. It's got to be fun.
Yeah.
It's got to be a fun movie.
Yeah.
And he said, I think there's a lot of great things about the Tom Cruise one, but he said they try to go more straight edge, serious, a horror movie, whatever, whereas it's got to be like a Disneyland ride. Right? Like you got to have the thrills and the fun with it. And if you watched Ready or Not, and if you watched Abigail, these people are going to bring the fun.
Yeah, they know.
They're going to bring the fun. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this news? Let us all joyously celebrate the fact that Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser are coming back to do another Mummy movie. Are we going to get Michelle Yeoh back? I'm willing to bet you that we will. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your questions that you guys have sent in. But before we do, we're going to thank writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You will.
After we have seen
Badlands.
Predator Badlands. So excited about that. All right, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Seconds from Disaster says, like Rob, I've always wanted a Predator-led movie. We view them as villains because they hunt on Earth. But from their point of view, it's just their way of life. They're just another species doing what they do. So I'm stoked to see this in IMAX Thursday night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously they are. I mean, I feel like, did we already answer this one? I feel like I answered this one already. Because they are clearly the antagonists.
Mm-hmm.
They are clearly antagonists. But it's just part of their culture. It's just part of what they do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if we went to a world that was inhabited and ruled over by pigs, they would see human society as predators. The antagonists.
Right.
They butcher us and eat our delicious leg meat? Yes, we do. So yeah, I don't think you're wrong. It's going to be interesting seeing it from their point of view.
All right,
All
we
right,
got
what's
a
next?
two-parter from Tim. Hey, John, I've been a big fan of yours since the Collider days 4 years ago
Thank
today.
you.
I lost my 13-year-old daughter. My
Oh,
goodness.
man.
I'm really sorry. It devastated me. Of course it did. I want to thank you and everyone who is and was on your show for helping me get through the hardest time of my life. Even in my hardest days, I always knew my friends would be there to distract me and talk about movies. You have the best show out there, and thank you.
Well, first of all, I mean, amazing condolences to that. It doesn't matter if it's 4, 14, or 40 years later. I'm sure that's going to be something that's always going to be with you. I can't even imagine. It does, once again, point back to what I say is the very best thing about movies and the communities that talk about them and celebrate them. They are wonderful. They're not distractions. They're oasis. They're an oasis. It just allows, as human beings, sometimes we just need to be able to breathe and step out of our grief or our struggle or our stress or whatever it is. Sometimes we as human beings just need to be able to step out of that for a moment and just breathe so we can step back in and engage again with our stress, our chaos, or our grief. And that's one of the things that movies have been there for me my whole life. I just recently lost my mom, and different times in my life, and I'm sure different times in yours, and to be able to sit down and watch a movie and just have that oasis for a minute, or to get together, whether it's virtually online or in person with other people, to just talk about movies. It serves the same function. And that's one of the reasons why I value movies so much, why I think movies are so important, why I think the communities of people that talk about them are so important. And I'm glad that movies and the movie community have been able to be there for you. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right. What's next?
Super Dante says, hey guys, I think we all agree that Jonathan Majors won't be back as Kang, but I could see him in DC. I know you hate X actor and X role, but just follow me. A gun-written Snyder directed Martian Manhunter played by Jonathan Majors.
No. Awful.
I don't think you like any of those. I think all three of those, you're like a red X.
Nothing about that is good. I think Martian Manhunter is honestly the dumbest character in comics. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but it is what it is. And look, the reality is, look, you guys know what I think of Jonathan Majors as an actor. He is a phenomenal talent. I have really liked this guy for a long time. He's such a good actor. But fairly or unfairly, there is a stain on him right now that can get repaired. Again, because it's important to remind everybody, that in the headlines of he was found guilty. Well, that's only half right. He was found guilty of some charges, which, by the way, were the most minor ones, and he was acquitted of the more serious charges. To oversimplify it, he was acquitted of all the charges that were charging him with intentionally hurting somebody, but he was found guilty of charges that were more along the lines of recklessness, that basically said he inadvertently or unintentionally, he just acted kind of recklessly, and by acting recklessly, somebody got hurt. Those are two very different things. And I think that's important to keep in mind and remember. But no studio is going to put a $200 million film on the shoulders. Because the reality is, fair or unfair, you put Jonathan Majors as the lead in your film, you're turning away a lot of your audience.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying that's the way it should be. I'm just saying that's the way it is. And so it's a business. You got to put people in your movie who you think are going to bring in the audience, not keep a lot of them away.
Because in the court of public opinion, you're almost like on probation, because people are like, well, okay, I get it, the technicalities, but if I hear in a year or so someone else just happened to be hurt in your presence again, well, you're done. It's like the Kevin Spacey thing. It's like, okay, great, you're innocent, you were proved innocent in the court of law. That's all wonderful, but if I find out like someone else is saying that you harmed them, then you're done.
It's still
you're
image.
done.
And listen, if you are, and everybody's an expert of how other people should spend their money. Everybody is the number one world's leading expert about how other people should deal with their money.
Right.
But the reality is this: if you're running a business and you know bringing in this one person will cost you business, doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, fair or unfair, you're not going to do it. You're going to bring in somebody else who will help give you business. And the perception of and the image of Jonathan Majors right now is not great. I hope that can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Rehabilitated. I'm hoping that can change. I would love to see him back in the spotlight again, but it ain't right now. And it ain't with like $150 or $200 million project. So ain't ever going to happen, man. Anyway, what's next?
Supreme Leader. I think we kind of know the answer to this. What are the chances that Hunt for Gollum and Secret Wars will open on the same day, December 17th, as currently scheduled? As a fan, I couldn't imagine a bigger fangasm moment, but I can't imagine New Line and Marvel might have reservations.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were both coming out in the same 2027 date. Yeah, listen, I don't mind at all 2 big movies opening on the same day. However, it's problematic when you're 2 movies that are kind of targeting the same demographic.
Same audience.
There's a lot of overlap there from those. There's a lot of people who would be like, a lot of people are going to go see Marvel movies, would also be people who'd be very interested in seeing a new Lord of the Rings. And one of them will change. Yeah, 100%. Again, another big movie could open on the same day, but not 2 films that are going to be going after such a similar demographic. One of them, I think, will definitely change. Yeah. Good question. All right, what's next?
Lane, how you doing? Melvin says, good evening. Hope you're well with Del Toro's Frankenstein about to drop on Netflix on Friday. Wanted to know your opinions on the 94 Frankenstein, directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Robert De Niro. I love it, but it traumatized me as a child.
Yeah, that also had Helena Bonham Carter in it. Had a few other... The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Why am I freezing on the guy's name who played the Hobbit in the Hobbit film? Ian Holm? I think Ian Holm was in that. Listen, I am a big Kenneth Branagh fan. That wasn't one of his stronger works to me. I think I've seen that movie maybe twice in my life. Not my favorite. I mean, listen, it has things going for it. And I could certainly see it traumatizing us as a child if we see it as a child. But yeah, I don't think it's one of Kenneth Branagh, who I'm a huge fan of. I don't think it's one of Branagh's I don't think it's one of De Niro's stronger performances. And he's a goat. He's iconic. But I don't think that was one of his stronger performances. I don't think it's one of Branagh's stronger films. So
I didn't know Aidan Quinn was in that. I forgot. And you're right, Ian Holm.
Yeah, Ian Holm was in it. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I don't think very much of it, to be honest with you. I don't think it's the worst thing ever or anything like that. But yeah, it's not one that I go back and revisit. All right, what's next?
All right, Joshua.
Oh, was it Ian Holm or was it Martin Freeman?
No, it's Ian Holm.
It was Ian Holm. Okay,
yeah. Because Freeman would have been very young. This was like 94.
Right.
Joshua, hey, John, my question is this. What is the theoretical limit of how much money a movie can make in theaters? Is it really just a simple mathematical equation of X amount of seats times X amount of show times, or is there more to it?
Now, if you're talking theoretical limits, then it's math.
Yeah.
How many theaters, how many seats, how many hours in the day, how many potential show times? Right. If you're looking for the theoretical and then get the average movie ticket cost in America, it's simple. Average movie ticket cost in America multiplied by number of theaters, multiplied by number of seats, multiplied by number of screenings. That's it. That's your theoretical limit. It couldn't, unless somebody comes out of nowhere and constructs new theaters, there is an absolute ceiling. Now, what that theoretical number is, I don't know. I've never tried to calculate that out, but it's a simple formula. Take the average ticket price of a movie in America, multiply that by the number of theaters, multiply that by, I should say, number of screens, multiply that by number of seats, multiply that by number of potential showings in a day, because you only have 24 hours in a day. You only have so many screens. You only have so many seats. So there's your theoretical limit, and we'll never get anything that comes close to that. We'll never get anything that comes close to that. All right, what's next?
Marcelo, in the comics in Secret Wars, Spider-Man discovers his black suit, aka Venom. In Secret Wars 2015, Miles Morales goes to the main Marvel universe. Do you think either or both will occur in the MCU? In Spider-Man 5, will the black suit appear in Secret Wars?
I don't think either of them will. I know Miles Morales will not. Like that one I know, because Sony's not going to let them, Kevin Feige's even acknowledged that Sony's not going to let them do anything regarding Miles Morales. So that's definitely not happening. And I don't think they're going to do the Venom thing.
Well, it's not, the mystery's gone. We've seen 3 Venom movies. People aren't going to be like, what is this thing?
Yeah, but we haven't seen it crossed over properly into the MCU yet, other than a little post-credits thing, right?
Okay. Tobey Maguire's in the movie, along with Tom Holland.
Okay.
And we see that machine, and audiences are like, oh, no. And it's like, we see the black blob in there, and Toby comes over, and he destroys it with some tech that's there. He's like, you don't want any of that.
Yeah, you don't want to mess. Trust
so they
me,
just
you don't
turned it
wanna
into
mess
like a
with
bit,
that.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think they're going to do either. I definitely not the Miles.
Yeah.
There is a possibility you could do that with Venom, especially now that Sony is done with Venom. Sony could give their blessing for Kevin Feige to utilize him. Maybe. So that's a possibility, but I think it's very unlikely. So I'm going to say probably no to both.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or it's like it follows him home, so that it's like when he's back off Battle World or whatever, it's like it's something he deals with in Spider-Man 5, but not in,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, what's next?
Heisenberg. Hi, John. Did you get a chance to see Bahubali the Epic, the recut version combining Bahubali Part 1 and 2? I'm going to guess no, but I'm going to continue reading. By the director of RRR. I know you didn't like RRR, but would love for you to see this movie and know your thoughts about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go see that movie. I didn't like Triple. Now, it's funny because back in AMC days, like Schnepp and I would, every once in a while, we would run over to the AMC 6 because our offices were right in or right beside the AMC 16, but there were 2 other AMC theaters within 10 minutes walk of the AMC 16. There was the AMC 6 and the AMC 8. And they had a dedicated screen at the 6 for a while, Jonathan. You remember this? It would just show Bollywood films. Would just show Indian film. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, Schnepp and I would just run over to the 6 and go catch a film from India and have a lot of fun. For whatever reason, while the world celebrated and loved RRR, I thought it was terrible. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it was a terrible movie. But, you know, all of us have movies that everybody loves that we don't. Every single one of us has those. RRR was one of those for me. So just by that nature alone, that's not one that would interest me, to be honest. All right, what's next?
Okay, Chris W. How would you do? Oh, and a $25 tip, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that.
How would you define a movie star today? Is Tom Cruise the last true one? Was Will Smith one until the slap? And does a director like Chris Nolan have the same name-driven pool where people show up just because of his latest film? I think that's still true with Chris Nolan.
Yeah, but that doesn't make him a movie star.
Right, not a movie star.
It depends on what your definition of a movie star is. Like it sounds more like you're asking is about bankable movie stars. Like movie actors you can put into a movie that guarantees a certain amount of revenue or money. And the reality is I don't think any of those exist anymore.
Yeah.
The last one truly was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I don't think he's that anymore. Will Smith isn't that anymore. Tom Cruise isn't that anymore. I mean, these are all still great actors and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
And they have a draw, of course.
And they have a draw, just like a recognizable, trusted name in a movie would be.
Right.
But, you know, I just don't think Tom Cruise being in a $500 million movie is going to turn it into an $800 million movie anymore. Same is true as Leonardo DiCaprio, but that's not what movie star is. Like, to me, a movie star is... unfortunately, but it's all about fame. Movie star isn't about talent. It's about fame.
It's the screams on the red carpet.
Yeah. Glenn Powell is a movie star, right? Sydney Sweeney is now a movie star. So yeah, movie star still applies, but it sounds like you're more asking about bankable movie stars, which I don't think that really exists anymore. But movie stars, listen, and whereas maybe putting somebody, this is where people get confused. Because a lot of people think, oh, it doesn't matter who you put in your movies. Oh, yes, it does. Because, like, you take a movie, a generic movie, put in theaters, somebody may look at that and may go see it, may not. But you put an actor in it that they know, recognize, and trust. That gives that movie, fairly or unfairly, legitimacy in the eyes of a lot of people in the audience. And they may or may not go to see it if you put a legitimate movie star in there. So There may not be bankable movie stars per se, but movie stars still matter. You better believe movie stars still matter. And yeah, there's still a lot of those today. All right, what's next?
There are 4 lights. Says, hey, Campea Show crew. Hope you're all well. Thanks for being the only listen to get me through my workouts. Just wanted to take a moment to shout out an amazing, sometimes forgotten classic, Galaxy Quest. Hilarious from the start to finish.
No one forgets.
It's
no
so
one
good.
forgets Galaxy Quest. It's one of the best Star Trek
so
movies.
Good.
It's straight up one of the best Star Trek movies. That I true story. Lately, for some reason, it's been Pawn Stars. But when I go to bed, I inherited this from my dad. I don't know why and I don't know how. But I find when I go to bed, if I have something quietly on the TV, it stops my mind from thinking. Like my mind, sometimes if I just lay down in a dark room and try to go to sleep, my mind starts racing. I start thinking about 1,000 different things and I have a hard time getting to sleep. But if I put on something quietly on the TV and, set the timer for the TV to turn off whenever, but I find it makes it a lot easier for me to fall asleep. I've always been that way. Got it from my dad. Lately, I just put on an episode of Pawn Stars on YouTube, and then when it ends, the TV automatically shuts off. But for a long time, I had a rotation of 2 different movies. Zoolander and Galaxy Quest. I have, at least in part, watched Galaxy Quest at least 500 times. At least in part. Where I would put on Galaxy Quest because I know it so much and I know the movie so well that I wouldn't have to think about the movie. It would just play and my mind would turn off and I'd fall asleep. But Galaxy Quest is, by Grabthaw's hammer, you shall be avenged. It's so good. Today, it holds up. The humor in it, it's just so good. And still today, one of the best Star Trek movies ever made.
Hey, until Tim Allen was able to reach the level of acting.
Yep. I got
Do you remember that quip from, why can't I think of his name? Hans Gruber, the actor.
Professor Snape.
Yeah. Oh my God, why can't I think of his name? But anyway,
now that you said that, now I'm freezing on his name too.
I hate that. Alan Rickman. Yeah, that quip about, Tim Allen, he's like, I don't kind of like the feelings I'm feeling right now. I'm kind of overwhelmed. I just want to take a step to the director. I want to go to my cabin for a second. And Alan Rickman goes, oh my God, he's experienced acting.
Oh, everything in that thing is so good. Yeah. I just love that movie. All right, what's next?
Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
If my plans line up, I'm looking forward to meeting you at Orlando Meetup. I'm ready to hear you yell out Twilight Boy in real life and not just on the my phone screen. Seeing Badlands tonight, especially curious about the Wayland and Alien.
Let me tell you this right now. I'm going to tell you this right now. I couldn't believe when it happened. I think it was in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
We were at the movie meetup in Chicago, and we started, and somebody said, give us a Twilight Boy. All right. Now I did it. I ain't doing that again. Don't ask. I'm not doing Twilight. I'm not doing the whole stereotypical say the thing. No, I'm not doing that. So don't ask. I'm not going to do the Twilight Boy thing again. I cannot wait to see Badlands tonight. I'm so excited for it's been a bit. It's been a beat since I've been this kind. It might be since Superman that I've been kind of this stoked about seeing a movie. It's been a few weeks since I've been this stoked about a movie. I'm really excited for this movie tonight. I cannot wait to do my out of theater reaction to it tonight. Keep your eyes open for it later. All right, what's next?
Friend of the show. Won't WB sports rights be a major factor in selling split or whole? If they split it, seems the Discovery side would take sports rights, including March Madness, NHL, MLB, etc. Which with Netflix and Apple getting more into sports, wouldn't they want the whole?
It really depends on what they're after. Listen, it's not like Warner Brothers have it, so that means we can have it on CNC, TNN, HBO Max. Like everything is specifically licensed out, so it will phase that out, or parse that out, I should say. But I mean, it's just part of it, man. I mean, it is what it is. They're gonna have to see what the assets are that are available to them and what they aren't, and then they'll have to just move forward from there. By the way, there may be some clauses in some of the sports rights that they have that may go null and void if the company splits.
Yeah.
Again, each one will have its own specific details in the contract. We're not privy to what those are, but it's not really something I think is a major concern at this point. Good question, though.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Here's our final one. It's a two-parter. Kunal says, hey, why aren't you scrolling? Hey, Mr. Campea, I was 5 years old when Star Trek 2009 came out.
Wow.
I was obsessed with the movie as a kid. I remember watching the DVD of the movie and then immediately put on the DVD of the OG show. Star Trek was a huge part of my childhood. I'm now 21 and look back at those movies with such joy. I'm a little sad that Paramount will be moving past the Kelvin timeline, but I hope that a new movie will bring in a new or next generation. I like that this is kind of, to me, it seems like it's an outlier that he actually went back. It inspired him to go back and watch the library of Star Trek. And not just like, I only like this and the other sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember, like, I mean, I've always loved Next Generation.
Uh-huh.
But when the 2009 Star Trek came out, it inspired me to go back and rewatch them again. It got me back into watching those shows again. Again, I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm only speaking for myself. That 2009 Star Trek reignited my appreciation for Star Trek and made me excited about Star Trek as something I had not been excited about for a very long time. And those movies did that. But they do need to move on. They have a better chance for success now with a brand new iteration than trying to continue that when the last one was 10 years ago.
You're
and
more
not
excitement.
a big hit.
Yeah, you have more excitement to build
So
now.
we'll always have those movies. We'll always have them. I especially loved the last one. I loved the one that Simon Pegg wrote. But I mean, I think it is the right thing. It's time to move on, and that's what they need to do.
Yep.
And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a part of your valuable day. Hey, listen, guys, keep your eyes open on the YouTube channel a little bit later tonight because I will be putting up, it's going to be later because, you know, I got to go to the movie, watch the movie, come home from the movie, edit it, put it up. But keep your eyes open for my Predator Badlands out of theater reaction. Ann and I are going to go watch it. I'm very, very excited for it. Guys, I'm so excited that you spent some of your day here with us today. It is not lost on me how much of an incredible honor it is that you guys choose to spend some of your valuable time with us. And I'm so appreciative that you did. Thank you for being a part of this community. And I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow. So big thank you to Robert Meyer Burnett. Of course, to our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name is John Campea, everybody. And until next time, bye-bye.